Come on in. Yeah, the door's open and there's plenty of room. I know you've been rushing around. It's time to slow down.
On the ground. I'll still be fluttering if I can find my wings. Find my wings. Impatiently, I want to fly today, but I hear a gentle voice inside me say,
Take it in, smell it.
slow and steady steps will be my pace. Slow and steady steps will win this race. It will take some time, but the victory will be mine. Slow and steady, I'm gonna learn to fly. I'm starting to believe I only race with me, only me. I can't give to someone else this journey for myself.
We're filling up.
It's for
Yeah, we are.
myself. Since my best is all I have, it is enough. I can see a ray of hope. I've got to trust that slow and steady steps will be my pace. Slow and steady steps will win this race. It will take some time, but the victory
They all make me
will
cry.
be mine. Slow and steady, I'm gonna learn to fly, and I will soar. I will reach the sky, a little at a time. I'm reaching.
Come on in.
I keep believing that slow and steady steps will be my pace. Slow and steady steps will win this race. It will take some time, but the victory will be mine. Slow and steady.
Where is everybody?
I'm gonna learn to fly. Slow and steady, I'm gonna learn to
Okay. I love that song. Somebody said it makes them cry. They all make me cry. Even the happy ones. And that's a happy song. Oh no. I forgot they didn't stop. Anyway, I was watching another video just a while ago. I was really listening to the videos. It helps me get my work done just listening to the videos. And one of the homesteaders I was listening to is I don't know her name. I need to look up her name. But I think their last name's Hart, but I'm not for certain. But they're down in Georgia. And it's Homestead Hart. and she was planting her potatoes today. And if you've got potatoes with eyes on them, now's the time, especially for her area. And she was planting them in big tubs, that you get at Walmart for $6. So she had a mixture of bone meal and blood meal and some composting, some good compost dirt that she had made, but I'm not going to have that. And so I would just get some plant potting soil, and she'd put 6 inches, just like we talked to you about getting rid of paper clutter. She gets 6 inches of soil with the stuff in there, and she'd plant the potatoes in it, and then she would do another 6 inches of soil with the blood meal and stuff. And she was planting this big old 17-gallon bucket with handles on the sides that we put the kids' toys in. She was planting that. She was putting her red potatoes and some other kind of potatoes in another bucket. So she had 2 buckets. She had big, huge buckets. And then I heard my favorite weather guy, Mike Morales, out of Missouri, talking about planting stuff in 5-gallon buckets. Now, we all got 5-gallon buckets everywhere. So if you need to drag them under the carport, if a big storm comes up, you can grab the handle and bring them into the carport. So there's lots of ways to plant stuff, y'all. There's lots of ways. We just got to, some people plant things in grocery sacks. Yeah, and hang them up. And put soil in grocery sacks. You got to put some drain holes in. But you just got to get on Pinterest and look. Get on YouTube and look. There's some great stuff out there about how to plant and how to amend your soil and make it good. There's some good stuff out there. In fact, I've got a book order. It should be here tomorrow. And I'll show it to you. He's a great person. He's done some good stuff on planting and making your soil better so that it produces for you. That's the main thing. Did y'all know I used to be a farmer? You didn't know that, I bet. When my stepdad was dying, I was left in charge of the farm. And it was a 1,500-acre soybean farm and wheat. But we had a bad year with wheat that year. The wheat rotted in the field, and we had to get rid of it. We had to burn it, is what we had to do. We had to burn the fields, which is normal for when you harvest wheat. But it was a rough year. But I learned a lot. I learned how to do a lot of things on the farm. Drive a big truck. I learned how to do stuff. Yeah, you do what you have to do. But my sister Patty this morning, she rarely sends me topics to talk on for tea time. But she said, one day, will you talk about perfectionism? And the first part is how it affects fly babies. Well, perfectionism affects you by causing you to throw the baby out with the bathwater. When you miss a day of doing the Fly Lady system, you just give up. That's your perfectionism doing that to you. That is your perfectionism. So it stops you before you ever start. I think it's the devil, personally. I think perfectionism is a tool of the devil to separate us from good enough. How do you recognize it? Well, when you want to give up before you ever get started, that's a cue there. That lets you know something's happening, and it's called perfectionism. When you go overboard, there's a line in the sand that we draw, and we don't even know we're doing it. If you're born organized, you get up to this line in the sand. This is the perfectionism line. You get up to the line in the sand, and then you go hog wild. Oh, our cardinal's back. Then you go hog wild, going nuts. You're going to hurt yourself. So you get right up to the line. The cardinal's saying, listen to her. That's what he's saying. You get up to that line and you go hog wild and you push yourself to the point Push yourself to the point that you can't go anymore. I've done it in the bathroom, cleaning like crazy. Spend 4 hours cleaning the bathroom where you could eat off the floor. So that's just so gross, Marla. Why would you say that? Talking to myself. But you get the picture. You push until you can't go anymore. And then you just collapse. It's called crash and burn. Well, if you're a fly baby, you get right up to that perfectionism line in the sand. And you just back away. You just go over there. You give up. Well, I can't do that. I don't have time to do that. So, what do? Here's how she wants me to. I'm about to sneeze, y'all. Look up. Okay. How did it get started in you? Well, it may have started with your parents saying, hey, if you can't do it right, don't do it at all. You know, we didn't listen to anything else they said, but we heard that and we took it to heart, and it has ruined us for the rest of our lives. He's over there. I can't even turn things so you can see it. Now the one in the little branches is not him. That's a bird. I'm gonna get rid of the cat bed right there, but I'm still gonna keep talking, and maybe you can see him. So our parents told us if you can't do it right, don't do it at all, and so we didn't. We just didn't do it. We didn't do it. At school, everything had to be turned in perfectly. You pushed. When you're in the army, you're supposed to flip a coin and it bounce on your bed. If you live with a perfectionist, boy, do you know what that's all about. This isn't working. Don't cancel that. Cancel. Pull back over here. As soon as I turn away from it, he'll come back. Living with a critical spouse, that can drive you nuts because nothing is ever good enough for them. And they're always picking you to death. And then there's that fear of failure. I'm going to waste 50 cents worth of flour because I messed up on biscuits. Well, guess what? You can turn those biscuits into breadcrumbs and feed the birds with them if you need. That may be what that bird's telling me, that I need to feed them. So, how it may have affected you and how you took the first step to solve it. Well, for me, I realized I was a perfectionist when I became a stained glass artist. Yeah, I've used to make stained glass. And I had this piece I was working on. And I was drinking my tea, but I decided I wasn't going to put sugar in my tea. I was just going to put some honey in there. And I'm allergic to honey, which I didn't know I was allergic to honey until then. So God has a way of teaching us a lot of things. So I would work for sometimes 20 hours a day to work on a piece of glass. And I remember getting so sick, just couldn't stay out of the bathroom, and it was the honey. So I'm allergic to a protein in the honey. I don't know what it is, but every time I have a little honey, it does not like me, and it has to leave my body quickly, if you know what I mean. But I realized that my perfectionism was causing me to not get enough sleep. I wasn't taking breaks. I was making myself sick with my honey in my tea because I thought it was supposed to be good for me, but you live and learn. And so I decided right then and there that I didn't have to be perfect. And the Amish quilt makers, they always turn one piece of fabric in their quilts backwards. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. glass has a right side and a wrong side. Because the glass is rolled out liquid-wise onto a surface, and there is the back side of it, and then there's the front side. Well, only I would know that piece of glass because nobody else could tell except another glass maker, a stained glass maker. So that's when I decided to just let go of my perfectionism. There was always going to be one flaw in my piece of glass, and that glass was going to be turned backwards. I cut it backwards. And so I did. And it was always in the lower right-hand corner where I would put that piece of glass. And it made me happy. It was sort of my signature piece. So how do the words we say help you defeat perfectionism? And we teach you that good enough is good enough. Just do 2 minutes. You don't have to finish. Do you see how we can take the little things we talk about, the 2-minute missions, and it's good enough. All of that helps you to defeat the devil, the perfectionism that the devil's trying to get you caught up in. If we can just take a few minutes and do 2 minutes. I had 2 minutes a while ago. I emptied my dishwasher. I had 2 minutes. I cut up 2 onions because I'm going to make hamburgers for dinner. And I cut up 2 onions to do some grilled onions for our burgers. I hope I've got some Swiss cheese, but I don't think I do. But we'll have cheeseburgers with grilled onions on them. And you see, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done a little at a time. Be kind to me during this process. Well, I think the devil has a whole lot to do with it. And if you don't think the devil has a whole lot to do with it, then you need to read The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. The devil has a whole lot to do with perfectionism. Because what it happens, it separates us from our family. It causes us to be martyrs and nags and pains in the bottom, I'm telling you. Now, you got to let go of the perfectionism. And that way you can help find what's inside your heart. Letting go of the perfectionism is going to help you more than anything you have ever done. It really is. Perfectionism is a tool of the devil. Yep. And somebody unsubscribed that person that keeps saying it's not the devil. Well, I believe it is the devil. And if you don't think it is, then you need to read C.S. Lewis, because the devil uses the simplest of things to create havoc in our lives. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You don't have to suffer with this perfectionism anymore. You just have to do something. Hit a lick at a snake. And that, in other words, okay, think of, in Genesis, and those of you who've been following my little daily Bible reads, I read Colossians and we've read Ephesians. I think we should go read Genesis right now, today. I'm going to read Genesis when I get through with this, because there was a snake, and I like snakes personally. I don't want one to surprise me, but I like to look at snakes, and I like to be able to identify poisonous snakes. But in Sync Reflections, my book Sync Reflections, I wrote about hit a lick at a snake. Hit a lick at a snake. And that's just do something. Old country preachers would talk about hitting a lick at a snake. You gotta fight perfectionism wherever you can. And I was watching The Passion of the Christ the other day, and Christ was alone in Gethsemane, and the evil one was there, and he sent a snake, and Christ got up from being prostrate on the ground, and he stepped on the head of that snake. So when we fight perfectionism, we're going after the head of that snake. We're hitting a lick at a snake when we just do something instead of being stuck in our perfectionism, and it keeps us paralyzed. That's, tomorrow is anti-procrastination day. And our perfectionism is what causes us to procrastinate every single day. It's what causes us to hold on to papers because we're scared to death somebody's going to steal our identity. It's what causes us to put off cleaning our bathrooms because we think it's going to take too long. And it doesn't. It doesn't. Swish and swipe takes all of a minute every morning. Even that. Swish and swipe just takes a minute. Yep. And when you feel this perfectionism coming on you, when you feel that evil taking over your life to separate you from your friends and family, stop right there. Laugh at the devil. Say, devil, be gone. That's our motto this year. Excuses be gone, because perfectionism, even though we don't even know we're doing it sometimes, is the excuse that goes unsaid in our heads. Let go of the perfectionism. Excuses be gone. Let's have fun to get things done in 2021. That's our mission this year. So everybody, laugh at the devil. Devil be gone. I can do 2 minutes. And that 2 minutes is going to bless me. It's going to bless my family. It's going to bless my home. Yeah, it is. Excuses be gone. And you're going to see a huge difference in your whole attitude. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. We hold on to so many things in our heads that, and when you recognize those things, those voices in your head, I've told you this before, but one of the most poignant memes I've ever seen is a picture of a little boy, and there's 2 hands around his neck. 2 hands around his neck. And those hands are covered in those ugly words we heard from parents or ex-spouses or whoever they are. They're just covered in those words. And they're choking this child to death. You're that child. You're being suffocated by the hands of the devil trying to pull you away from good enough. Good enough is good enough. And it'll be better than it was. It will be better than it was when you just do 2 minutes worth. So take some time today. I'm going to go in and read Genesis. I'm going to read about the beginning of this world, how God created the heavens and the earth. He didn't create the heavens and the earth to put us here to suffer. He wants us to be happy. And good enough makes us happy because our home is clean. Our home is organized. Our home is like a huge hug. Well, Bonnie, you can read Colossians. I think that's the way it's pronounced. I don't know, but that's the way I grew up pronouncing it. And it sounded a lot like Ephesians to me. So Paul was writing the letter from prison, and I read it 6 times yesterday just to get it in my head. So think about those potatoes you got growing sprouts in your kitchen. They can go in a pot, one of those big tubs. And one time we did a little test, a little contest on the most efficient uses for Rubbermaid bins. You got Rubbermaid tubs everywhere, and as you get rid of your clutter, you're going to have a lot of extra ones around. People planted mushrooms in them. They planted potatoes in them. They turned them into train sets for the kids to pretend like they were riding in a train. They turned them into coffee tables to have tea on with the kids. So there's lots of fun to be had. There really is. But I think planting potatoes is a good thing. And then when I was a young mom, we planted potatoes, and I remember harvesting those potatoes. And you don't want to wash them; you want to leave the dirt on them. And I put them on a burlap bag underneath our crawl space because we didn't have basements, but we had a crawl space. And I would go up and under the house. They were right there at the entrance, and one time there was a snake there. I'll have to tell you about the snake in the house once upon a time. I'll do that some other time, but let's hit a lick at a snake. Let's get some stuff done. Plant some potatoes, plant some tomatoes, and maybe plant some onions and some radishes, and just have a good time getting outside. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow morning because we're going to deal with some more perfectionism, because that's what causes us to procrastinate. So y'all have a good evening. I'll see you in the morning, and just enjoy the time with your family because they grow up so fast. I love you all.